Imagine waking up thousands of years ago. No alarm, no boss, no rent, no walls telling you where you had to live. If the animals disappeared, you moved. If the land became dry, you moved. If another group arrived, you simply picked up your things and left. You were free. Then one day, humans did something strange. They stopped moving. They built houses. They planted seeds. They fenced animals.
And suddenly, the people who once followed nature were spending their days digging the same piece of dirt again and again. But why? Why would anyone trade an open world for a tiny patch of land? Why choose back-breaking work when you could simply walk away? The answer is much stranger than you might expect. At first, farming sounds like an obvious upgrade. Plant food, wait, harvest it, problem solved. Except it wasn't. Imagine depending on one field for your entire year of food. One drought could destroy it. One flood could wash everything away. And if wild animals discovered your crops before you did, months of work could disappear overnight. Hunters and gatherers had risks too, but they had something farmers were slowly losing: options. If one area became difficult, they could search somewhere else. Farmers couldn't. Their food was literally buried in the ground. And that created the first strange trap. The more humans invested in one place, the harder it became to leave. A house had to be maintained. Crops had to be protected. Animals had to be watched. And suddenly, freedom had a price. But there was another problem. Farming required more people. A single family couldn't easily plant, protect, harvest, process, and store huge amounts of food alone. So people began living closer together. Villages grew. Storage pits appeared. Fields spread farther. And something incredible happened. Humans started producing more food than they immediately needed. That sounds like victory. But surplus food created a completely new mystery. Who controlled it? If one person had grain stored for an entire season, while another had nothing, the village could no longer function like a wandering group. Food had become something that could be counted, stored, guarded, exchanged, and eventually controlled. Now imagine what happens when hundreds of people settle in one place. Someone has to build walls. Someone has to make tools. Someone has to protect the food. Someone has to organize irrigation. Someone has to decide where the fields begin and end. Humans had accidentally created a problem that required something they had never needed on the same scale before: organization. And that organization changed everything. Villages became larger. Trade networks expanded. Specialized jobs appeared. Some people could spend their days making pottery instead of hunting. Others could become builders, traders, craftsmen, or soldiers. And eventually, some settlements grew into cities. So did farming really make humans miserable? Not exactly. It gave humanity something powerful: predictability. For a wandering group, tomorrow's food depended heavily on what nature provided. For a farming community, humans could begin trying to control tomorrow. They could store grain, breed animals, plant crops deliberately, build permanent shelters, and plan for seasons that hadn't arrived yet. That was the trade. Humans didn't simply give up freedom because they suddenly preferred hard work. They discovered that staying in one place could provide something freedom couldn't always guarantee: a growing supply of food and a future they could plan. But there was one final twist. The moment humans learned to control food, they also created something else worth controlling: land, crops, animals, storage, and eventually entire settlements. The same invention that helped humans build civilization also created competition over everything civilization depended on.
So perhaps the real question isn't why did humans give up freedom? Maybe it's what did humans gain that was worth giving some of it up? Thousands of years ago, humans made a decision that would reshape the planet. They stopped following food and started making food follow them. They built fields, houses, villages, and eventually cities. And from that first patch of planted earth came something far bigger than harvest.
Civilization. Maybe humanity didn't simply give up its freedom. Maybe we traded a world we could wander for a world we could build.